DNVR Broncos Live presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Shout out DraftKings Sportsbook. Get over there and use the code DNVR to get in on all their great deals. And we are live from Studio A here at the DNVR Bar, where the A stands for, are we there yet?
No, we're not there yet. What kind of question is that?
How much longer?
It's annoying. It's awful. This isn't even fun.
No, this is fun now.
No,
you guys
it's
can
not.
take a deep breath. Yes, it's not fun when you're... No. Let me explain. Jeez.
I know if I'm having fun or not.
I'm going to
definitely not
tell
having
you
fun.
that you're about to be able to have some fun for the
different.
next 100 hours. When it's not fun is when you're like, shit, news can drop at any time. You go to bed, anytime your phone vibrates, you have to look at it to be like, is this the news? When you wake up, you have to wake up early. That's not fun, being on your toes. And when you shower, you put the phone so it's not getting drenched in water, but enough where you can see it and it's just getting some trickles on it. There's just no time
I
off.
don't do that.
You got, oh my God. Well, yeah, maybe that's why my life is it's more stressful than it needs to be.
Didn't your phone just break too?
It could be why. But the next 100 hours, you guys don't have to worry. Coaching news is not going to break. I'm touching wood right now. Maybe it will. The Broncos are waiting for DeMeco Ryans. They've made it so clear in a very bizarre way that they are not going to do anything until DeMeco Ryans is available to talk, which is Monday. So enjoy your Saturday. First Saturday without football in like forever. And then enjoy your Sunday of the championship football games. Then Monday, you can start panicking.
Is there like a Canadian football game on or something Saturday?
I don't think there's anything, actually. Oh, maybe football.
Oh, yeah,
the thing is, though, like,
Leeds.
I feel like we got nowhere.
Yeah.
We got nowhere. Like, on Monday, we came in, and it's like, this is weird that they aren't interviewing any coaches that we've heard about. I wonder if it's because DeMeco Ryans can't be interviewed until next week. And then 3 days later, we've just talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. It's like, oh, yep, that was right. And just nothing happened.
I disagree, though. I don't think
Really?
on Monday we were saying it's DeMeco Ryans. I think on Wednesday is when we were kind of like, wait, today's Thursday. Maybe it was Tuesday. Okay, yeah, maybe it has been more of this.
I feel
Monday
like we
was
haven't been
hot Sean
purgatory.
Payton vibes.
Yeah, big hot Sean
Oh.
Payton. And then Tuesday was, what's going on with
Yeah.
Sean
Yep.
Payton? And then yesterday,
was
it
hunting day.
was yesterday was hunting day with some DeMeco sprinkled in. So we started to pick up on it then. But what I will give you is this has been just a very, very weird week. And maybe it's because DeMeco was kind of off everyone's radar at first. And the Broncos fell in love with him, clearly, in that first interview.
Yeah, it's still not going to be fun. This isn't fun. I just want it to be over.
Yeah.
When the Broncos fired their coach 2 weeks before the season ended, you thought, oh, sweet. Was it 2 or 3?
2.
2. You thought, oh, sweet. This means the coaching search will be 2 weeks shorter. But no. It's just gone on and on and on.
Are you surprised, though? The Denver Broncos like to be in the news early and often and stretched out as long as possible.
It is so annoying. I just want the coach so we can move on to the other things that are important in the offseason, like how many holes are in a straw and what's your favorite kind of cheese.
True.
And hunting.
And well,
No. Done with hunting.
Oh.
Or are we?
Are we done with hunting? Still haven't seen that selfie video from Rob Walton.
So really quick, I want to get your guys's.
I had like a daydream yesterday that Rob Walton like released a thing like, I don't know where all this news is coming from that I'm on a safari in Africa hunting, like this is crazy, and then like a zebra like walked by.
That would just be absolutely incredible. It would also be hilarious if he did that and it was clearly like a green screen behind
exactly.
him
It's
of
like,
the zebra. It's
I'm
like
in
very
Denver.
fake.
It's like the
Right.
whole skyline.
right. Or even the opposite, where the green screen is like a zebra walking behind him.
He has like a
just
green
to like
logo.
play with everyone.
It's like a green logo on his shirt and just see through.
Right. He's wearing a hat that's green or something, man. That would be so funny. That'd be so endearing for, what is he, an 80-year-old man to do that?
Sure. Will.
It would be amazing.
The thing is, though, like, I don't know if there's a group of people less likely to do that sort of thing than the Waltons. Like, that might be like the tippy top of the pyramid of like, who is just never going to post a video on Twitter and definitely not a funny one.
You don't think Patrick Smythe's getting in their ear being like, hey, this would be really funny?
I think everyone should just be posting selfie videos to clear up confusion.
I don't think they care if we're confused.
Okay, no. Speaking of confusion, I want to get your guys' real take, conspiracy take, after seeing this tweet come out from our guy, Big Dunk.
Is he still our guy?
Okay, Big Dunk.
Yeah.
Jeff Duncan this morning at 9:52 a.m. before Mike Kliss's article came out saying that DeMeco Ryans was a top candidate. Jeff Duncan said, heard some intel today that explains the recent goings-on with the Broncos coaching search. It all makes sense now. End of tweet.
Big Dunk, what are we doing here, my guy?
276 likes, 173 retweets, which is wild, and 248 comments.
How many of the retweets are quote tweets?
145
There we
quote
go.
tweets. Yeah, 28 retweets.
Do you think it's just they're waiting for DeMeco Ryans? Like, that seems like such a simple answer, but it also feels like exactly what's happening.
I just think that Big Dunk has had a rough week, and he wants to, like, and maybe it's true, but he wants to, like, put some information out there that makes it seem like they're the shit show, not me.
Yeah, could make sense. Yeah. Or the intel he learned is that the Denver Broncos have potential. This is not a report. Potentially have a hunting trip planned with DeMeco Ryans next week.
Oh, is he a hunter?
I bet.
I don't know if he's a hunter, but
Where's he from originally? Not that you should just judge people. Alabama? I feel like they hunt down there.
He's from small town Alabama, I believe. Yeah. Went to the
I would
University
guess
of Alabama.
yes, he hunts.
Ryan, speaking of hunting, are you wearing your finest hunting gear right now?
I don't.
Wow.
It's camo.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I think in hunting you want to be the opposite of camo so your friends don't shoot you.
You wear the orange because deer can't see the color orange, and people definitely can.
Wow.
That's actually very true. I have my hunting license when I was younger.
Wow.
So you actually need to wear colors that stand out so you won't get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Plus, I mean, even if you had to decide, like, do I want to be seen by everybody or nobody, you definitely take the everybody in a hunting case. Like, you might miss out on a couple shots, but at least you'll get shot.
So this is like the worst thing you could probably wear hunting.
Yeah.
with black pants.
No. So yeah, you're supposed to wear camo because you're also supposed to hide, but you're supposed to have one item that stands out.
White shoes.
You're supposed to have like orange, just the main color.
Deer can't
I'm
see
just
orange.
going like full orange Broncos jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Try to avoid getting shot.
Yeah, I would do
The
that
number
as
one
well.
goal of hunting. Yeah.
Henry really dislikes your coat, though, because it's a coat disguising to be a hoodie because it has the hoodie hood on top, too. And
How
remember,
do you know I don't like that.
Yeah, well, because we kind of talked about this earlier in the week with wearing a hoodie underneath a sport coat.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
see,
that.
I knew.
Those always trick me though.
Wow.
You think I had 2 layers on?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you pulled it off well. It is just kind of like a strange thing where they'll take like a hood that's totally different.
It's because it was like a vibe when people were layering hoodies under jackets. They're like, let's just build the hoodie into the jacket, save everyone a
But
step.
only the hood.
Yes. Because the hood was the whole part. That was the style.
Wow.
Remember when there was a little bit of a thing where NFL players were wearing hoodies under their jerseys in games?
Yeah.
Who's it? James Jones or someone
Yeah.
from the Packers?
Just
I was
a
like,
terrible idea.
you're just putting like one of those parachutes behind you that slows you down.
Exactly.
Or,
Somebody's just going to grab it.
Yeah, terrible way to get tackled.
Yes.
Like when the
Or
guy got
great way to draw a
tackled,
horse collar.
When the guy got tackled by his hair and it ripped out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that'd be tough.
Yep. Who else was? Someone was wearing a hand warmer in the back last week. I want to say Jamar Chase, but it could have been someone else. And then like a defender like pulled on it, you know, when they were running past him, and then he like
Breakaway.
freaked out. Was like trying to tell the ref like he was pulling, and I'm just like, don't put your hand warmer there.
True.
Don't give him
You
something
can-
to grab.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
It's like in flag football when you miss the flag, but you just grab the belt.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
can do.
Exactly.
do.
The other thing with those hand warmers, just make it so that they unclip easily. Like somebody grabs it, it should come
Right,
out.
like a tearaway jersey.
Right.
Yeah, tearaway hand warmer.
Genius.
Thank you.
Anyways, sure seems like DeMeco
Still no
Ryans
dislikes.
is the guy.
We
But-
did have a, oh no, here we go.
Okay, no, here we go. Wow, 35-0 still. Let's keep it that way.
It sure seems like DeMeco Ryans is the guy. And Mike Kliss had a report today saying he emerges as a top candidate. But then I pulled out a clip of it. I want to get it exactly right. Don't want to pull a big dunk here.
Oh boy.
Here's the line. Quote, the Houston Texans are also coveting Ryan as their next head coach. So by putting in also, that implies that the Broncos are coveting Ryans as their next head coach, not as a top candidate. And of course, it could just be Mike Klis types a lot.
Of course,
he just didn't make sure that you couldn't read between the lines of every line of his story. But it sure read that whole piece as if DeMeco Ryans is the guy. That's why we're waiting. That's why there's no second interviews, and that's great. If they love DeMeco Ryans and they believe in him, count me in. But Zach, you've been very cautious about putting all of your eggs in the DeMeco Ryans basket.
Yeah, and really quick, Ryan, before we jump into that, I don't even need to read between those lines of Mike Klis's article. The fact that they still haven't interviewed anyone a second time, and it's very clear they're waiting till Monday, it's very easy for me to be comfortable saying DeMeco Ryans is their guy. He is their number one guy. Or else, if he was their number two, wouldn't you bring in the number one guy? Or if he was a 1A and you had a 1B, wouldn't you be bringing in that other guy? Because every other person that you are wanting to interview can be interviewed this week. So isn't it pretty clear that he is their guy?
Feels like it, or they're hunting.
I do think he's obviously one of the top three. I think that's where I can stick a flag in it and say he is a top 3 candidate for the Broncos job. Is he number one? I think there's signs that point that way, but that's where you do have to read between the lines to get to that point, because I do think there's an easy case to say, yeah, they just want to do all the interviews around the same time. It's like maybe they even do Sean Payton or somebody Sunday, Monday, instead of just sitting there making them wait for a week while you interview DeMeco.
But why? Why wouldn't you interview these guys, especially when Sean Payton is in Arizona right now interviewing with someone else? You could lose him by just waiting this week instead of bringing him in, showing him the love, and saying, hey, we want to continue this into next week, instead of just saying, no, we're just not going to talk to you this week at all. Dan Quinn is having 2 second interviews this week. The Broncos, he's not doing anything today. He's not doing anything tomorrow. On Saturday, Dan Quinn has another interview, but you're just saying, no, it's okay. You go talk to those teams. If we lose you, we lose you.
But the flip side of that is, why do it if you're not willing to hire any of them until next week anyway?
Well, you look at a bunch of these other teams; they're having second interviews and not hiring those guys right away. And I think the obviously the candidates understand they don't expect to get a job by going into a second interview.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm Sean Payton and I say, okay, yeah, let's talk for 8 hours on Friday, and then I don't hear from you for a few days, like, that's just not a great sign, It's not a great sign. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do it that way, but I do think that they could just be waiting to push all of these until next week.
That's a bad strategy.
I think I also agree it's a bad strategy, especially because if you think DeMeco's one of your top 3, well, then you don't want him to walk out the door, but you probably want to talk to those other guys, especially if you haven't identified him as your number one guy. So get all those guys done so that on Monday, you talk to DeMeco before he can go to Houston. And if you identify him as your guy, well, you've already talked to the other 2 guys or 3 guys or 1 guy, and you can say, nope, we're not letting you leave without a contract.
Yeah.
So that's just why I personally think he absolutely is their number one guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think of it as like, and it's not, football often is not like the real world in terms of jobs and stuff, but if like you had 2 interviews with Big 4 accounting firms, and one of them told you, okay, you're in the final 2 of our interviews, and the other one told you, like, all right, we're ready to hire you. Don't you take the one that says we're ready to hire you?
Definitely.
Over the one that says you might, and then so you don't lose out on both. And that's kind of how I could only think of one. What's another one? Ernst & Young.
There's like a 3-letter one.
Oh, KPMG.
Yes. And I'm always like, you work for a radio station. I thought you were more of like accountant. I'm like, oh no, that's an accounting firm.
I just found out what KPMG is like 2 years ago. Phil Mickelson's worn that hat for forever. It's like, that's what that is. He's repping accounting.
DU was a big accounting school, and their accounting program was like,
Deloitte?
Deloitte was like the worst thing ever. It was just hell for my friends that went through it.
It's always funny when, like, I just saw the other day, the Baseball Hall of Fame was like, we want to thank Ernst & Young for, like, tallying the votes or whatever.
Right.
Interesting.
Couldn't I do that?
I feel like
and they do that with, like, the Oscars, too. They have an accounting firm count them up and keep the votes safe. I'm like, really? Do we need that?
It's accounting, not counting.
Right. It's Ryans, not Ryan.
Yes.
It's McDaniel, not McDaniels.
Though I do feel like as a Ryan, he's basically an honorary Ryan, DeMeco Ryans.
Oh,
We gotta stick
so you're
together.
already taking credit.
I'm just saying we got to stick together. Like, I got to have his back.
That's fair, yeah. But where does the apostrophe go? The apostrophes go in different places. That's what separates you guys.
For sure. That's why I said he's honorary.
Oh, honorary. You're not an honorary Ryans. He's just an honorary Ryan.
I mean, and it would be up to him as of Ryans to determine if I can get that honorary.
Oh, so you can dish it out.
Exactly. So it just is worrying to me that they are just letting this drag on. And maybe they just feel really confident with DeMeco Ryans. And maybe he said, like, yep, I'm good to go. Like, I'm your guy. But at the same time, Panthers just hired Frank Reich. Why didn't the Broncos interview Frank Reich at any point?
Washed.
That's what I'm saying. What were they doing this week?
As a coordinator, I would have been down.
Why not interview him?
I mean, you already have Dan Quinn. I know that like one's offense, one's defense,
Yeah,
but if you're
totally
going down
different.
that route, Dan Quinn's just the better veteran coach candidate.
Boy, it's because if Frank Wright was defense, I could buy it a little more, but they're still different people.
They are.
And
They
Frank
are.
Wright has had his success in different places than Dan Quinn in terms of how they've had success. Ryan, I just disagree with the way the Broncos have handled this week. Now, if they get DeMeco Ryans next week and that truly was their number one guy, then it's going to be like, okay, it ended fine, but I'm still going to have the hesitation of the way they handled this week. There's no reason that if they're not going to interview anyone this week and they're just purely waiting for DeMeco Ryans, then why aren't they just interviewing people for the sake of interviewing to see if Frank Wright comes in and says amazing things about being a head coach, or you interview someone that doesn't get a head coaching job and then you bring them in as their offensive coordinator, or you just get an idea from someone that you then incorporate in your coaching staff or the way you handle the organization.
What do we always say at the combine when like there's the classic token reporter who's like, "Have you interviewed with the Giants?" and every player's like, "I've interviewed with everyone."
Yep.
And the reason we always say is like, the teams want to gather as much information on these players, even if they don't end up on the team, so that they know a little bit more when they scout them when they're playing
true.
against them.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to know what Frank Reich, his offensive philosophy is, which obviously you can learn from the tape, but like get a little more insight into it. So then when you might play the Panthers, you could say like, oh, like let's keep an eye on this. Does this show up in the film? This is something that he brought up, like blah blah blah. Like information gathering can never be a bad thing.
Were there takes last year, though, that the Broncos interviewed too many candidates? I wasn't around enough.
Yeah,
I was not paying attention.
There were takes, but it's not like the Broncos
There were?
cut that.
I think so.
Yeah. Some people just didn't like that. They said they stretched themselves too thin. But
Exactly.
the Broncos
What does that mean?
Wait, but the Broncos are already at that point now. There's no difference between interviewing 8 people and interviewing 10 people in my mind of stretching yourselves thin. The people that said that, Henry, said the Broncos this time around should only interview 3. Well, the Broncos got way too close to that number this year. So, and especially since it's not like they had to have rushed the process if they wanted to interview 5 more, they had an entire week this week where they've just done nothing.
I'm with you. Also, stretched too thin? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, it was just one
just
way
hear
to...
too many voices,
It-
jumbles things.
And
Paralysis by
Separation isn't
analysis.
as wide between the candidates.
and a big thing with that was you're going to end up hiring, or you could end up hiring someone based off the interview instead of what their resume says if you're just trying to talk to everyone.
Being totally honest, I would not complain if they interviewed 25 candidates.
I'll say the biggest thing I don't like about them taking the week off is just what it does to me personally and feeling like there's just nothing new to talk about. Or just like, okay, yeah, here we are, just waiting and waiting. In terms of the other stuff, like, could they do it differently? Absolutely. Would it be better? Possibly. I don't have strong feelings one way or the other.
And that's fair, and I
Yeah.
think we can agree to disagree on that. But Ryan, you brought up the question that the Texans are also very interested, and you brought up the point from Mike Kliss saying that he's the Texans guy, it appears as well. And let's dive into that. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Athletic Greens. If you're feeling down in the dumps about the Broncos not hiring someone yet, and you just need a kickstart to your day, check out our friends over at Athletic Greens, where, boy, you will start your day with a kickstart, and it's going to help you get going the entire day. It's going to help with better gut health, more energy, optimize your immune system. If you didn't like taking vitamins and minerals because you have to take 5 pills in the morning, well, all you have to do is take 1 scoop of Athletic Greens. easy to swallow because it's just blended up in your water, and it gets you 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to get your day started right. It's cheaper than your daily cup of coffee, and it has over 7,000 five-star reviews. And on top of all of that, if you want to get a free year's supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase, go to athleticgreens.com/Broncos. That's athleticgreens.com/Broncos. Great way to start the new year is by checking out Athletic Greens.
And if you have been injured by somebody for any reason at all that wasn't your fault,
Could be a hunting accident.
could be a hunting accident. Oh,
boy.
wow. They would love to help you out in a hunting accident. I wonder, it wouldn't be your fault if you didn't wear orange still, right?
I wouldn't know the hunting guidelines.
I think it might be your fault still.
Wow. I wouldn't blame you. But if you're wondering, you go to Backus and Schenker. They will let you know. They'll give you a free meeting to hear about your case, how you got hurt, who hurt you, and then tell you what they can do. There's no fee for your case unless they win money for you. So that's the way it works. It's the way I think it should probably always work. And they've won over $1 billion for their clients in Colorado over the past more than 25 years. So they have locations all over the state, neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, Fort Collins. They have the strength and power to win your case with more than 30 lawyers. And they will take all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault, whether that's car accidents, motorcycles, ride shares, pedestrians, trucks. They can even help you if you're injured at work. So call Backus and Schenker at 222-2222 to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Schenker wins.
Boom.
There we go. And Eric in the comment section says, are you sure they've done nothing? Maybe they've just been very stealthy. If that's the case, then more information will have presented itself, and I can say, well, with the new information, then I change my tune.
Right.
Secret behind-the-scenes interview with DeMeco Ryans.
No, that would be illegal and tampering, and the Broncos would.
That's why we wouldn't know about
That's
it.
why I wouldn't know.
Yeah, but I think he's referring to more so of the. Did they talk to Frank Wright earlier this week?
Or David Shaw. Or
Jerry Rosberg.
Jerry Rosberg.
And the
Jerry
season meeting.
Rosberg, really quick.
Yes.
Let's talk about
Jerry
Jerry.
Rosberg news update. Uncle Jerry, what's
I
up?
mean, it was a roller coaster of emotions. Hank must have loved it yesterday because
Wow.
initially we find out that Jerry Rosberg was let go by the Broncos and will not be back. It's like, damn, why do they have to do that to Jerry? Especially how it was presented by, I believe, Jeremy Fowler.
I think so.
He said,
Germ, what are you doing, my guy?
I know, and it broke Broncos Country's heart because people are like, not even going to bring him back or consider him as a special teams coach. Well, we find out later that was just his contract expiring, and that the new head coaching staff may consider bringing him back on their staff. But what was very interesting in all of the reporting
Is this just a bad week for reporting?
it is.
Chaos.
Have we all been okay?
All right, yeah.
I think we've all
Yep.
been clean.
Yep.
Damn, nice guys.
Haven't embarrassed ourselves.
So there you go. Tune in to the DNVR Broncos podcast. But something on top of that was one thing we kind of did find out was, yeah, he's not in the mix for a Broncos head coaching position.
Kinda.
We kind of, because I think all the reporting was like the new head coach will decide if he has a role
Yeah.
here,
I get
unless he's the head coach, and then he gets to decide if he has a role here.
I hope he gives himself a
think
role
you
as
would
the head
decide
coach. I will not have a role. I'll let everybody else handle it. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, the Nathaniel Hackett role.
what probably happened though is just like the whatever notice goes through the system, and it's like, oh, Jerry Rosberg done, contract expired. Somebody texts Jeremy from the league offices and like, here's what happened. He's like, oh, it is over. He is gone. They've moved on from it. It's like, nope, it was just his contract expired. Literally, nothing happened.
Why did
nothing
his contract expire January 25th?
It's bizarre.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's something like 17 days after the season's over, your contract. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Odd.
it's got to be.
Well, he was.
He was still in the
Wait,
playoffs.
here we go. Maybe
Yeah,
he
but
got.
if they were still in the
contract.
playoffs, then what do you just
Exactly.
Maybe he got like a full season contract, but because he joined the team 2 weeks in, his contract went like 2 weeks after the season. I don't know.
That's a good theory.
Thank you.
Other news updates: Nathaniel Hackett to the Jets.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, that's fun.
I mean, if you're a Jets fan, you fire Mike LaFleur from the same coaching tree as Nathaniel Hackett, who I would say had more success with at least less talented quarterbacks, to then hire Nathaniel Hackett?
Well, here's how you convince yourself He took Blake Bortles to the AFC Championship game. And what was very interesting was Adam Schefter, when he tweeted about it this morning, he had a couple of tweets out there. That's all he focused on. He only focused on what he did with the Jaguars, and that's, I think, what the Jets are clearly doing.
Did he bring up that he got fired halfway through the next season?
Nope, he didn't.
Did you bring up that was like over half a decade ago?
No, he didn't. He didn't. But I wish the best for Hackett, but now, I mean, we thought...
hey, we took the bait too.
Yeah, exactly. Last year, the Aaron Rodgers to Denver rumors were obviously just dominating Denver. It's going to dominate the country even more because it's now connected to New York. So the Jets enjoy that.
Yep.
And I hope they didn't hire Nathaniel Hackett just to get Aaron Rodgers.
I think that's the biggest thing you point to, though. Like, I do, because you pointed it out. I mean, it's the same system, which, first of all, I think makes a lot of sense.
It's going to be so annoying if Aaron Rodgers goes there and balls out.
But yeah, like
George Payton's going to be like, see?
He's like, oh, that's what I was trying to do.
If you can find a way to not change your scheme and change the terminology and spend a whole year trying to make everything different, that's like a nice tiebreaker when you're deciding on a new offensive coordinator. It is weird that they would prefer to have him over LaFleur because, like, it seems like you might just kind of be getting the exact same guy. And so what is different, though? It's Aaron Rodgers. It's a chance to get Aaron Rodgers. So why not take the exact same person, but with a better chance at Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, sure.
I
think it's one of those things where, like, they tell Saleh, like, okay, you can stay, but you got to make some changes. And he's like, all right, I'll fire LaFleur and just bring in the guy who's kind of like him.
That's clearly what happened with the Cowboys as well. Did you see all the changes they made? I mean, they made so many assistant head coaching changes this morning, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, they fired their running backs coach, and I'm like, the running backs coach that got a ton out of Tony Pollard, and you're blaming him for the meltdown that Ezekiel Elliott had.
He's like, listen, Zeke was just too bad in pass protection, specifically on that last play of the season.
right. And he's like, it's just stupid. They're just making changes in order to save their job. But how about this, guys? This isn't conspiracy, but you guys are going to shoot this down so fast.
I'm very excited.
If Nathaniel Hackett does not get Aaron Rodgers, he turns Zach Wilson around. If he turns Zach Wilson around, he's a head coach next year.
Wow. It's so outlandish. I just don't even... If he turns Zach Wilson around, then they're going to win.
I don't think they can even keep Zach Wilson on the roster.
So then they're going to keep Saleh.
Wait. No. He doesn't get the head coaching job at the Jets. He gets a coaching job.
I thought you said he's the head coach.
No. Sorry. He gets a coaching job somewhere else.
I think that you are correct in that if he turns Zach Wilson around, he will be a head coach the next year. The problem is, with all the reports about how toxic Zach Wilson is and how much everybody hates him and they just want him out of the locker room, he's not even going to be there in August, so it's not going to happen.
Okay, well, fair.
Yep.
Well, then I can hang on to that. The big if.
The big if. If he sticks around.
I'm happy for Hackett, man.
Me too. I hope he succeeds.
It's such a weird position for us to be in a lot of times because it's like, well, you got to kind of make some jokes and laugh off some of this stuff. Then you kind of feel bad for the guy because he's really cool and nice.
Yep. And he was only great to us.
Yes, for real. But at the same time, odd move by the New York Jets. Nice offset for the Broncos.
And did you also see the reporting that Nathaniel Hackett, they interviewed 15 people for their offensive coordinator job, and according to some national reporter, I think so, he was their number one guy.
I mean, you'd have to be. First out of 15. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten the job. But that's crazy. Like, why do you need 15? Not to bring this back to what we were talking about 10 minutes ago. Like, what do you gain? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just sitting there and listening. It's all just going to blend together. Nobody has a chance to pop.
You take notes. So then you can look back and compare them. Take out your yellow notepad and you put pros and cons. And every time they say something, you add it to either column.
It'll all just blend together.
I don't think so. I've never done a 15-person interview for a position here, but I've done several, and they're all pretty different.
Maybe you need to expand your searches in finding people.
I wouldn't be against
Take your own advice.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it.
Okay, so back to DeMeco Ryans. We've touched on this a little bit, but as Mike Kliss said in his article, and we've already brought up this week, DeMeco Ryans has interviewed with the Broncos. He's interviewed with the Texans, and he is considered a finalist, if not the guy with the Texans as well. And before we dive into the difference between those, the Broncos have a leg up on the Cardinals and the Colts. Both of those teams had interviews scheduled with DeMeco Ryans, and he canceled them. Now, I think there was a little bit of, again, false reporting, some bad reporting out there that DeMeco Ryans was going to interview with the Cardinals and maybe even the Colts Sunday morning before the game. I think they got that day wrong. I think it was actually supposed to be Saturday when he was going to interview with them, but he said, I need to focus instead on my game, so I'm canceling those interviews. You know what that did? It made it so that those teams cannot interview DeMeco Ryans until after the Super Bowl because they did not get a first interview in with him before that game last week. So the Broncos and Texans have a leg up because they can interview him next week if the 49ers win or lose. So the Broncos and Texans kind of have an advantage in an inner track to getting DeMeco. But the issue here is that there's the Texans involved as well. And you say, that's the Broncos or the Texans, especially if you're listening to this pod, probably a fan of Broncos Country and the Broncos here. So you're like, this is easy. Well, you got to remember that DeMeco Ryans was drafted by the Texans in the second round. He signed a second contract with the Texans. The Texans ended up trading him after his career in Philadelphia, which I think was 2 years. He moved back to Houston. He met his wife there. His wife's from Houston. They have 3 kids, I believe. 1 or 2 of the kids was born in Houston, and he has many, many ties to Houston and the Texans themselves. So that kind of makes it very murky when just comparing the Broncos and the Texans just as organizations.
For sure. I mean, to put it into our own terms, it would be like if Terrell Davis was a coaching candidate and, it was down to the Broncos who were down horrific and, the Texans, parallel universe where they're like a historically great franchise. We would probably be sitting here being like, there's no way Terrell Davis doesn't come to the Broncos.
Right.
Or it might be more like Al Wilson.
Sure.
Linebacker, similar era. He's just their guy. You forget that the Texans are such a young organization.
Yep.
Like, he's not on the Mount Rushmore of Texans, but he's an all-pro linebacker for the Texans who was the middle of their defense.
What's the Mount Rushmore of Texans?
Andre
Johnson. Does Matt Shaw get in
that's
there?
what I was thinking.
J.J. Watt.
J.J. Watt, definitely.
Of course.
Oh, wow. I have the AV pulled up just because I was curious. DeAndre Hopkins, Arian Foster,
Yeah.
Brian Cushing.
Probably Hank Hill.
Not Cushing. He got busted for cheating like 3 times.
Dwayne Brown.
Do we get to include Gary Kubiak, or are
All-pro.
we just talking players?
Oh,
Players.
yeah. Gary Kubiak might be on.
I don't
Gary?
think he is. I think they take Hopkins over Kubiak.
Yeah.
So Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt,
Oh.
Arian Foster?
Is Deshaun Watson?
Nope.
I don't
Definitely
think
not.
so.
Okay. I mean, if you include off-field, definitely not.
Then definitely.
Okay,
not.
we can move on.
Okay.
Yep.
DeMeco didn't make it.
There we go.
You
Deshaun
bring,
Watson killed
you
the
bring up a
conversation.
really, really interesting comp with Al Wilson, because how did Al Wilson's time with the Broncos end?
Yeah, that's a good call.
A little, there was
odd.
some.
He was not around
a
afterward.
little odd. DeMeco Ryans, and what a lot of people have been bringing up on the internet, which I think is very important to talk about, is DeMeco Ryans sued the Texans because of the turf they played on when he tore his Achilles heel before being traded to the Eagles. He said that injury shortened his career by 5 seasons and blamed it on the turf. That's what a lot of people have been saying is just, well, it's not even a comparison. He's not going to go to the team that he sued. Well, if you read the lawsuit, he was suing the Texans, the NFL, the stadium, the turf company. It wasn't like he was just suing the Texans for like one specific thing that they did to hurt his career or hurt him. The Texans were included because that was their field they were playing on. But so I don't hold it as intense as the Al Wilson one in the Broncos. That's a fair thing to throw in, though. I think it should be thrown in the conversation, but I don't think it's as big as, well, he sued the Texans. Of course he's not going to go play with them. It was a way bigger overarching thing that he was suing them for.
Fair. What do you guys think about the whole turf thing?
Turf is more injury prone?
That's what players are saying, but then there's stats out there that says there's really not that much of a difference.
Yeah.
I would just say play on. It's a sport. It should be played on grass.
Then why don't they? Like, so what's the
cheaper.
argument for turf then?
Yeah, it's cheaper. You don't have to maintain it. If you're in a dome, it can, like, you can do the sliding ground thing the Cardinals do, but that seems like a hassle.
Exactly.
Why not just grandfather the stadiums in that don't have that in place, but make every other one that you can have grass? Why doesn't the NFL just force that?
I don't understand.
I think it basically is how it is.
Because
though. It's just
Roger
the
Goodell
domes
works for the owners, and the owners want to save money.
It's just, well, then, if that's the case, then just have the NFL pay for it. The NFL itself makes so much money.
NFL doesn't want to pay for it. No one wants to spend more money than they have to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty
and then the
sure
NFL backs it up by saying the stats that you said. Like,
But then the players are coming with different stats, and it's just like...
Well, to me, I would just say do what's safer. If grass really is safer, then just do that. It's stupid not to.
Sports should be played on grass, except for, like, basketball.
I played high school football on, big flex there, on turf. It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, it is.
You just get burned everywhere.
I played lacrosse. You get the rubber on the rubber, so the ball just like bounces insane. It's wild.
Especially when it's like spinning and it like shoots off all weird. Yeah.
And then your feet are just filled with those black balls.
And when it's hot out,
They
that
suck.
black turf
God,
gets
it
so
just
much
smells
hotter.
like tar.
Yeah, terrible. Just
The other thing,
especially like the NFL, like
Yeah.
the number one sports league in the world,
Yeah.
should be playing on grass. In fact, speaking of number one sports league in the world, which I assume that maybe the Premier League makes more money. I don't know. Those players will literally refuse to play on turf fields.
Soccer players?
Yep.
Really?
So like sometimes, let's just say like Manchester United is doing like a U.S. tour. And they'll be like, oh, like they're going to play here, here, and here. If there's a turf field, like a lot of the best players will be like, I'm not playing on that.
That's one way for the NFL to quickly change their fields, is if Patrick Mahomes said, I'm not going to play that game.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the NFL would be like, I think every field's going to be grass now.
Yep.
the other thing is that, like, if you have an injury, it can hurt worse running on the turf. So, like, the end of the season, there were a bunch of Broncos who would only practice when it was outside.
Yeah.
But when it was inside, they give them the day off. So if you have, like, a lingering knee thing, there's just, like, the compression is different, and so you wind up super sore.
This is obvious stuff. Play on grass.
And then also have your training facilities be all grass as well, so you don't have to have players sit out.
Yeah, but again, like, they need an indoor facility. You can't just be pushing the grass in every day for a training facility.
Why not? If there's stadiums that do it.
I think there's a stadium. I think there's one
stadium that does it, yeah. So far, at least.
There's not a second one?
I mean, I don't know if like they're doing it in LA or if that's turf.
I wonder. LA is the one that I considered.
Anyways.
Okay, good.
So yeah, I don't even know how. Oh, because of
the
him.
lawsuit.
Yes. Okay. So to me, I just have to imagine that the Texans, where they are, the position they're in with firing back-to-back first-time head coaches, with the fan base questioning where the organization is right now. I have to
classic turn to a legend moment.
Exactly. So I have to imagine that they are all about DeMeco Ryans, because not just getting a damn good football coach, but getting someone that's going to restore instantly their franchise, at least for the season, and then see how it goes from there. But I just have to imagine that the Texans are going to be all in. And when it comes down to money, I don't exactly know the Texans' financial situation, but it's not like we're talking about DeMeco Ryans being a 4-year, $100 million coach like Sean Payton. So I don't think the money's going to separate itself that much.
Again, you have so much cap space there. You have a young team. You've got a lot of draft picks. The expectations are low. The fans will love you. I mean, you look at like Scott Frost at Nebraska. That guy stuck around for so long just because the fans liked him. Like, that's going to be part of it for
Such
a Texans
shame
coach.
he got let go.
It's such
doing
a shame.
a great job. I don't know what they were thinking.
You worried about Matt Rule at all?
Worried about? No.
But you would rather have Scott Frost than Matt Rule.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the thing is, like, DeMeco Ryans, if they win 4 games next year, fans will give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Like, if he wins 6 games next year, people will be like, oh, we really got this moving in the right direction. The standards are low. They're even lower for him. I think he's going to be a good coach. He has all those assets. And, again, it's like home for him. So I see the appeal. Also, there was like a pretty big report from the Washington Post on Sean Payton and the Broncos.
Hit us with it.
So this just coming in from Mark Mask. Shout out Grayson Hole, who tagged us on Twitter. So Mark Mask, who I believe is the top NFL reporter for the Washington Post. So credible guy.
Should we have him on? Or is he going to then have a bad week after that?
We might be a curse. He says the Panthers are no longer an option for Sean Payton, and there was an issue with Payton's interview with the Broncos. Payton likes the idea of coaching Russell Wilson and having that defense, but fears a potential power struggle with a member of the ownership group, source says.
So who is it? I mean, is it George Payton?
He's not a member of the ownership group.
Oh, you're right. A member
Greg Penner.
struggle with the member of the ownership group.
Condi?
But
Condoleezza Rice is the only one I can think of right now.
Why would
She doesn't have the power.
So reportedly,
Maybe she's struggling.
she does have she does have power though.
She's in the meetings.
So reportedly, there were 3 people in the meetings last week. It was Greg Penner, it was George Payton, and it was Condoleezza Rice. After the meeting, what did we hear? Both sides loved it. Right?
Yep.
It was coming from Broncos. It was coming from Sean Payton. Both sides really enjoyed their meeting. And then what also came from that? That Greg Penner's guy was Sean Payton. So if we're going to take all of these things and then we put this in, then you do say it's Condoleezza Rice.
There's no way. There's no way the Broncos could have a person who owns 1% of the team be put into a position where they could scare off a coach because they're worried about a power struggle. And when I say no way, I mean it could happen, but that's insanity.
I agree. I feel like it has to be Greg Penner. I feel like it has to be. And
it could be like Greg Penner loves Sean Payton, but Sean Payton's that guy looks a little power thirsty for me.
Which is crazy. Like, how do you give off future power struggle vibes that early when you seem like somebody wants to be so hands off?
Well, here's how, is because he's already hands-on with this coaching search. And he said, I'm going to take over. But do you guys take that as it was for sure a power struggle, where Sean Payton didn't like it, or where the Broncos didn't like how much Sean Payton wanted power?
Can you read the line again, Hank?
Spence.
So the good stuff, and then says, but he fears a potential power struggle with a member of the ownership group.
Okay, so it is Sean Payton viewing the Broncos. So this report also indicates Sean Payton is the one to back out from the Broncos. Or not back out, but be hesitant.
That's what it's suggesting, yes.
And 100%.
Well, that's the Schefter stuff from yesterday, that there just isn't really a fit for Payton this time around.
I really think it has to be Greg Penner. He's the only one who has the power, in my opinion, to be in a power struggle with the head coach.
That's a good point. Now that I'm digesting it, I totally see what you're saying. This man, but then if Sean Payton's your guy, wouldn't you just drop the power struggle? Or do you say, I own 31% of this $4.65 billion organization. You work for me, so yes, I'm going to be the one in charge.
In what scenarios would they cross paths and have to have a conversation where Greg Penner overrules Sean Payton?
Maybe Penner wants to give more power to George Payton. Maybe
no way.
I don't get that
no,
vibe.
but I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that would make sense. Either that, or he says no, if I want to call a play, I'll call a play, and I think that's less likely than him believing in George Payton.
I feel like it's more likely than anything that what's this dude's name?
Mark Mask.
Mark Mask comes out later today and says I didn't know this could become a thing in Denver.
And Mark Mask is very connected with Sean Payton. He was the one over the past 2 weeks. He's put out 3 or 4 reports about Sean Payton's interest in the Broncos and how things could work. I think 2 weeks ago he said that the Broncos appeared to be the front runner for Sean Payton. So he's obviously tied in with the Sean Payton side. And so you also have to read this in as, okay, maybe this is Sean also getting his wishes out there of, look, the reason I'm not taking the Broncos job is because I don't want it. It's because they messed up. They have an issue. Yeah. So that's also just something you have to consider here. Exactly. It doesn't mean that's 100% it, but
that's where I'm at
maybe
right
somewhere
now.
In the middle.
Yes.
I just don't think Sean Payton's coaching anywhere.
Brad D
I think
in the
this
comments,
is kind of the last little domino of that.
Brad D in the comments wants to point out that we're guessing. Yes,
we are guessing.
Absolutely are.
Yes, we are guessing.
100%.
We're not.
If you want us to not guess, we can sit here quietly.
But what we are
fun.
Strongly guessing at, I think we may even be able to move beyond the guessing here, is that Sean Payton and the Broncos are going in very opposite directions. In fact,
Is it over?
I don't really know
Putting
if
a
you
fork
can.
in it?
Yeah, I don't think you can come back from where it is now.
More likely, Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
And
I feel like that's the line.
So here's where I'm at with DeMeco Ryans right now. I give, just the family ties that he has too, especially his wife. I give the slight lean to the Texans.
I do too.
Right now. Slight, very, very slight. I think it's very close. I think he could also, from a football side, he could look at it and say the Texans have the number 2 overall pick. They're a young team with a lot of cap space. They do have some talent on their team, which I think emerged this season a little bit. And he wants to grow with them. He could also look and say, I don't want to join a franchise that's been so down in the dumps. So I could see it either way, but I'm just going to give a slight edge to the Texans. But regardless, I could easily make it a slight edge to the Broncos. This is not a gimme that DeMeco Ryans is going to be the Broncos' next head coach. So, guys, really quick, what are the backup options at this point? I think we're kind of crossing Sean Payton off the list right now. What are backup options? Because Dan Quinn, he could go to the Cardinals or the Colts. And then who else do you have? Then it's David Shaw, Jim Caldwell. Are those the backups?
I think it's David Shaw. I think he's
David
just been
Shaw, yeah.
right there in front of us the whole time.
I do think there's still a potential of a last-minute Jim Harbaugh out of nowhere.
Let's go.
Type of hire. I think the Broncos, if they were to miss out on DeMeco Ryans, which, by the way, I give the slight edge to the Broncos. I just don't think the Broncos as an organization can lose out on something to the Texans.
So then a slight edge, or are you giving more than a slight edge?
I give them an edge.
Okay.
Full edge.
A full edge, but not like it's done.
Still an edge, you know.
Okay,
like,
you got to
it's not
worry
the
about
whole thing.
Okay,
it's just
Not
the
a
edge.
half.
Okay.
But I do give it to them, not only because they're just a much more proud organization, but also because of the way that the Texans have handled their last 2 head coaches.
And that's fair. That's something that he certainly has to consider.
By the way, I think if the Broncos were to miss out on DeMeco Ryans, I think they would just go back to Harbaugh and be like, listen, bro, you name the number. We got to do something here.
We don't even need a second interview sort of thing. Here's the check. Let us know when we should send the private plane out to come bring you to Denver.
I think it's possible.
And that, I think, would have to be the move unless, or for this whole thing not to just blow up on them. Because as we've got going on YouTube, is it plan D at that point? If they miss out on Sean Payton, if they miss out on Jim Harbaugh, if they miss out on DeMeco Ryans, if, let's say, Dan Quinn this weekend goes to the Cardinals or the Colts, I mean, we could be looking
plus
at
150 to go to the Cardinals right now.
we could be looking at plan E right now. We could be looking
Ejiro Evero.
maybe.
Plan
It was
E,
suggested in the Cliff story that Evero could stay around with DeMeco Ryans.
which would make
Interesting.
some sense.
If you want him
They
to go
play
full
different
CEO type,
defenses, though.
But if DeMeco Ryans is coming, he's either overhauling the defense or it's going to be different defenses.
Wait, what?
Because
Aren't
it's
those-
you either flip from the 3-4 to 4-3 to cater to DeMeco,
Yeah.
or he has somebody who runs a 3-4 there, which
right,
I think
and
is more
he gets
likely.
to play just head coach.
Yeah. I mean, that could be the case. And the Broncos, remember, 2 weeks ago, they declined the Falcons' request for DeMeco Ryans to interview as a defensive coordinator
Evero.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep, for sure. By the way, over at DraftKings Sportsbook, where you should head, just for any type of fun you'd like to have, the only coach odds that are up right now are the Arizona Cardinals. Everything else too messy for them to touch. By the way, Sean Payton in the building today, right, in Arizona?
He is.
Plus 1,000.
Woo! Wow.
5th place.
He
Wow.
seems like he's going back to Fox.
It might just be over for Sean Payton in this cycle, which is crazy considering he was kind of considered the number 1 guy coming in.
But I also think there's a better than not chance it's mostly Sean who's making that decision.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
So check out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Get in on all the fun over there. You're too late to get in on Nikola Jokic MVP. I'm sorry. We tried to tell you over and over
did.
again. Now it's down to like minus 140. So,
Oh,
yeah.
moved the wrong way.
Oh, where was it yesterday?
I think it was minus 150 a couple days ago.
Oh, okay. I saw minus 140
Ooh,
yesterday.
spicy.
Let's see what it is right now. It is minus 140.
Basketball reference, 71%.
Crazy. So anyways, check out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Get all your bets in. And right now you can bet $5 on any NFL game and get $200 in free bets, which is incredible. Of course, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Maybe don't fully count out Sean Payton yet.
Okay.
Just that. I don't know.
Okay.
Interesting.
Sounds good.
What else do we have, Henry?
We also have, after that little twist,
I need
Foco.
You just put a fork in it. Now you're taking the fork out. I need a little more.
That's. I just got an interesting text. That's all.
Yeah, we all saw.
All right.
We would put that together. Yeah.
I just felt like that needed a little more time to breathe so people can hear it.
That was a quick little swing there. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Put a fork in it. Looks out the phone.
I'm just saying don't fully count it out. I'm still.
Now there's fork holes in it.
You took just one prong of the fork out.
Right.
So I mean, it's still pretty much, in my opinion, done.
So there's still a fork in it, but not all the way.
Oh, it's kind of like
mostly in the
yeah,
exactly.
It's not like deep.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
Maybe it's like a spork.
You,
so it only has short little things.
That's
on the
true.
End.
That's true. I actually you put the fork in it, but just the fourth one on the left didn't hit.
get in.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Now it hit the plate. Screech. Everyone looked at you.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was just a little 3-pronger with one out.
I hate 3-prong forks.
Me too, but in this situation, 66% is a lot better.
Yeah, that's true.
Foco, though, if you're looking for a Broncos fork, no promises, they might have one. That's the kind
I
of
bet
stuff.
they have a Broncos spoon for sure.
Spoon's more
'Cause
prevalent than forks?
People collect spoons. It's a thing.
Really more than forks.
Definitely more than forks.
Are they just trying to prove like they're edgy to the bowl collectors?
Well, to be fair, spoons have less edges than forks, so I would say it's less edgy.
Less dangerous.
Anyways, yeah, that's
Okay.
the thing that people collect.
That, if you're a spoon collector, explain yourself to us. Yeah, Foco, all sorts of stuff. I actually just got a bobblehead for my birthday from Foco,
Wow.
which is actually from somebody who doesn't even know about my relationship with Foco.
Tell us about it.
It's Nikola Jokic.
Oh.
Yep. And he'll say
Focola Jokic.
his bobbles around. He'll like say yes to things if you put his head that way. He'll say no to things
Like,
if you don't.
am I the MVP?
Yes.
Yes.
Am I going to have a triple-double tonight? Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. It's a great bobblehead, and you guys should get some bobbleheads as well. We'll come back to that comment in a second. We'll come back.
Yeah.
But yes, there's so many awesome things, so many different bobbleheads, the tumblers, the bags, the hats, the gear, collectibles, everything. And if you use the code DNVR at foco.com, you'll get 10% off all non-presale items. There's a link below this YouTube video. There's also a link in the podcast description. And also, some Bronco nuts. Our guy, 66% less than 75%. Yes,
That's
but
his
we're
point.
talking about doneness, so you want it to be less done.
Yes.
66 better.
Yes.
What?
I was.
Prongs,
I
two
understood
prongs.
what you were
Two
saying.
prongs, one out is better than 3 prongs, one out.
He also in the comments they mentioned silver spoons, which is topical because Broncos ownership knows all about silver spoons.
Okay, just a nice little punch of the gut for him right there. And we'll move along.
Comments?
Comments.
Oh, really
Comments.
quick. We are close to 100. Let's hit 100 before we finish these super chats.
We have to hit at least 102 to drown out the 2 dislikes.
Oh, yes, that's
Ooh.
very true. And also, when you're tuning in, hit us with a thumbs up on YouTube, of course. And also, if you're listening on the podcast side, whatever platform you're on, hit us with a 5-star review, please.
Yo.
We've had some updates. haven't we?
Spotify listeners have come through
Let's
this
go.
week. They are putting the pressure on Apple listeners. Spotify was at like 600 and Apple was at 800 reviews. Spotify's up to like 690. While Apple is only up to like 820. So the
Oh,
gap is
baby.
closing
Wow.
quickly.
Who are we cheering for?
Apple.
You want Spotify to catch
Come on,
up?
Apple guys.
I like
Actually,
You
I'm
need
a
to do this.
I'm a Spotify.
I'm thinking like tortoise in the hare situation here, you know, like tortoise is just gonna catch up eventually.
It's very true.
The hare's just
Wow.
messing around too much.
Speaking of underdogs, Chiefs still underdogs at Burrowhead this week.
It's a tough place to go into, you know. Let me see. I actually had heard that had flipped. Yes, it has.
Oh, it's
Chiefs are
flipped?
now favorites.
By one?
Road faves.
Road
faves
faves
at
what
Burrowhead.
It's one.
Yeah, it is.
That's probably after Mahomes just looked like he had no injury yesterday.
Yeah, it was based on him not limping after he walked off the podium.
Which
Crazy that it's a
limping-
2-point swing.
In most cases, is like 80% mental.
today he
Really?
did a spin at practice. Maybe that's what flipped it. He
You know-
literally spun the line by spinning.
As
Oh, I see.
As
Yeah.
a man who decided who's going to make a bet only with his brain and not with his heart at all and took the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl, I thought I was dead in the water. Like, when he was limping around out there that last game, I was like, you know what? They might lose this game, and if they don't, I've got to take whoever they play next week. The fact that I now have as much hope as I do is bad for all of us, but also kind of exciting for me.
I think there's only two options. He has a very badly sprained ankle, and he's just doing a good job of hiding it. Or two, it was just a lie for the narrative that he had a high ankle sprain.
So he planned to roll his ankle up and
No.
planned to
He
took
was
the
just
body
like
weight.
he ended up being fine, but they're like it's a high ankle sprain just to like feed the myth of Mahomes.
So at what point did that become change from an injury to a narrative?
Monday.
Oh, so the rest of the game he actually was.
No, he was hurt,
He
but
was
then they
hurt.
like did the whatever and they're like, okay, he's actually okay. They're like, well, let's tell everyone it's really bad because that'll be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
He looked really hurt though. Like he was like there was that one scramble for the first down where he took back-to-back steps with his left foot. Like he's just running and just like left as he's running before he gets to the first down marker.
Well, I hope he's very hurt.
There
Wow.
we go. That's
I mean, it's not like it's a career-ending injury. I just want them to lose because he's
Yeah.
not himself.
Would you be happy if it was?
No.
Wait, if
Okay.
it was what?
Okay. Career ending.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely not career ending.
I mean, like he's gonna be fine eventually, but if they lose because his ankle is hurt, yeah, I'm all for that.
Wow.
I mean, it really could be that could be the difference if he gets
But-
hit in the first quarter or something.
On the limping thing, like a sprained ankle, the reason you limp is to try to hurt less, not because you can't walk normally. You know what I mean? So if you think really hard, like walk normally for these 4 steps, and then you can go back to limping, you can do it.
but also in
if it's not
practice,
stable though, it could give out.
It's not like he took that thing from Harry Potter where his arm is just like waggling around.
But that's a point. But like you're missing the structure of it. Like there's no support on your ankle. I don't know. I
If you
wouldn't be
think
surprised
really
if your
hard
ankle
about
gave
not
out.
limping, you cannot limp when you're hurt.
I'll take your word for it.
it's gonna be interesting, and I can't wait to break down these games tomorrow, guys.
See?
Yes.
Elliot comes in. If someone's had a ton of high ankle sprains, which sounds very unfortunate,
Yeah.
you can walk normal. It's the lateral movement that hurts so bad.
Wow, and we clearly are Broncos podcast because Tom comes in and says, "Come on, he wasn't hurt that bad."
Let's go. It's all for the narrative. They want to be like, Mahomes won a Super Bowl on a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, but then Brad D comes in and says he's hurt. So yeah,
He's extremely hurt. Again, the man is running using his. He was hopping.
He's doing pirouettes on the practice field.
Honestly, I think it's more of an excuse of like when they lose, why they lost.
Oh,
than it is an
I love
actual
that.
like,
It's
why.
great
already
take.
been.
Yeah.
So in the second quarter of the game last week, Mahomes is like, "Shit, I don't think we're gonna be able to beat the Bengals. Let me build in the excuse now."
If a defensive lineman falls on my ankle, I'm gonna scream so loud.
And really quick, Chris Kellogg is pointing this out, but DeMeco Ryans did win the PFWA's Assistant Coach of the Year award.
Sick.
Man, is he just riding into his next job on a high? Maybe in Denver. A mile high.
A mile high.
A mile high.
I wonder what the elevation of Houston is.
Jeez, we got 4 dislikes now?
10?
A lot of
10
Mahomes talk.
feet?
A lot of Mahomes talk.
Yeah, I'm putting this one on Henry.
I did
Always
great.
on
Nobody
that side.
disliked any of my
Yeah.
hunting comments.
Always
today.
on that side.
That's true. You're right. They didn't come until you brought up how you put so much money on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and
Actually-
you really hope they win the Super Bowl, and you're the
don't-
biggest Chiefs fan.
I
This
can
year.
tell you why
I'm not
they
the
came
biggest Chiefs
in.
fan.
I can actually tell you because I've been monitoring when you guys
Uh-oh.
play and when they come in. This came in when you guys started talking about Jim Harbaugh and you guys were guessing who it might be, who it might not be.
Oh, it's
That
the
was-
guest guy.
That was a
What?
while ago. There was only 2 a
Yeah,
while
I
ago.
think this is on
No,
Henry.
it actually happened. It was there too. Like I've been monitoring the whole chat, dude. Trust me.
He's the chat expert.
I'm here right now.
Of course, Henry wants you here to be right about this one. I
Yeah,
see.
definitely.
Yeah, totally.
I blame both of you.
I blame both of you.
Really quick, unless the Broncos hire a coach today, and we're covering a press conference tomorrow, join us at the farmhouse tomorrow. Breckenridge
Let's
Brewery. We're going to be
go.
there going live at noon as usual, and use the code DNVR over at Breckenridge Brewery to get 10% off your bill.
Let's go. All right. Questions. Starting with Super Chats.
Let's do it.
Oh, we got a few. If we get Ryans and keep Evero, who calls the plays? Got to be Evero.
Definitely Evero.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I would think they would have a collaborative approach.
Definitely.
That sounds very coach speak.
Yeah, but it's got to be Evero. I don't think you would be able to keep him and demote him.
If
That's a good point.
If DeMeco is calling plays, it's because they run a 4-3 defense, and in that case, there's no reason to have Ejiro Evero.
Man, and this is the way that you also sell DeMeco Ryans being the head coach is by saying, and first-year head coach, is by saying he's different. He's going to truly be a CEO type, not just coming in to lead one side of the ball, unlike Vance Joseph, unlike Vic Fangio, unlike Nathaniel Hackett.
Mike LaFleur is OC?
Could be, yeah.
You wouldn't have to change systems.
I know. I still will just want to hear a report. This is who DeMeco Ryans likes as his OC.
Right.
That would just make me feel so much better or worse, but I just want to know.
Maybe Gary Kubiak's not fully out either.
Gary coached DeMeco, right?
He did. And bringing him in as kind of like a, hey, I'm not asking you to coach with me for 10 years. I'm asking you to coach for 2 to 3 years with me and then get the stability around him. I don't want to rule it out.
Or even Clint Kubiak also.
I don't know. He averaged fewer points than Nathaniel Hackett calling plays last year. No.
It is what it is. I mean,
I don't even know how he's getting interviews, if I'm being completely honest.
I mean, he has experience.
Yes.
Like his Vikings offense was good.
Best way to get a job in the NFL is to have experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was good or bad experience.
Where did the Vikings rank in terms of points per game this year? I'm truly curious if you don't mind looking that up,
Yeah.
because when he was calling plays the year before with the Vikings had, I think, the 15th best offense. So they were completely average with good pieces. So they weren't awful, but they were average. And I'm curious how they were this year with someone else calling
8th and
plays.
7th.
So, I mean, they were
a bad
double.
look.
They were double than they were.
Twice as good.
But again,
with
like,
him.
it's definitely, you don't love it, but that doesn't preclude you from ever being an OC again.
No.
It doesn't, but I don't think they could.
Oh, here's
do
another
that.
one.
Dalvin was hurt, right?
If you want to go really quick, Ryan, if you want to go with someone on your staff last year, Justin Houghton would be better, in my opinion.
Yeah. There is a belief out there that Eric Bieniemy might feel like he's pigeonholed in KC because all of the credit goes to Mahomes and Reed. Potentially an option as an OC.
That one would be the biggest roll of the dice.
It would be.
Because it
Also
could
the
hit.
biggest splash, too.
It's true. Yeah, it would be.
Or Greg Roman, bigger splash?
Yeah.
I'd say Roman bigger.
Probably.
But there would be a clear top 2, I think.
In terms of newsworthy, it would be Bieniemy, but in terms of getting the
more proven.
Yeah, because people would say, well, was Bieniemy truly a product of just Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? So there would be some conversation.
Worst
there.
case scenario,
Something to keep an eye on.
That would be interesting, especially staying in the division.
Yep.
Oh baby,
Bieniemy's gone to 5 consecutive AFC Championship games. It's not a bad hire.
no, yeah.
From Nice Team, if we get Ryans and keep Evero. We already did that one. From Andre F. You left it up for so long, Yaya.
Sorry.
Andre F. says, I love Ryans. I'm just worried about what he does with the offense.
Yeah.
The team is going nowhere unless that is fixed, and the OC needs to fit with Russ. I agree. But I have to keep reminding myself, before the Josh Allen draft, I said, don't not draft Josh Allen just because of Paxton Lynch. That's a bad way of going about things. And I think you have to think the same thing about DeMeco Ryans. You don't stay away from DeMeco Ryans just because you've gotten it wrong with people from a similar background if you believe he's the guy.
Yeah.
Now you have to believe he's the guy, and it kind of sounds like they do. So I just have to keep reminding myself that over and over again. That being said, it's true. If we go through 2-3 more years of the Broncos defense being great while scoring 16 points per game, we're all gonna. I'll be fully gray, guaranteed.
And that's why Andre F., right after they hire DeMeco Ryans, if he's their guy, then the conversation is quickly and understandably and rightfully so going to change to, okay, now almost just as important as DeMeco Ryans, who's the offensive coordinator?
Yep. Kyle Shanahan steps
Oh, welcome
Makes
back
double
to
his
Denver.
salary as an offensive coordinator in Denver.
They're like, don't you hate being a head coach? We'll pay you twice as much just to call the play.
Hey, those gray hairs, they will go away in Denver.
Kyle Garcia says, can't watch live today, but hear me out. DeMeco HC, David Shaw OC. If you're going to swing for DeMeco, I'm excited and intrigued about Shaw as an OC. How? His offense
Quarterbacks.
is so boring.
I mean, he had 2 Heisman runner-ups. You like that. He's had 3 first-round pick quarterbacks.
Both of those Heisman runner-ups were
running backs.
Yep.
Again, like, what do you need to fix? The running game. He has experience with quarterbacks. He's. You don't have to change the terminology. You stick with the West Coast. You know, it's a pro-style offense, but that's like it's lame.
Pro-style offenses are even outdated in the NFL
but see, that's the
now.
thing, though, is that like in college it's terrible. In the NFL, it's not that far off from. You spice it up, and all of a sudden it is similar to the Shanahan stuff.
I guess
It's not far off. Like, and then you have the experience. You have the head coaching experience. I like it. I think that'd be a great hire.
Remaining teams: Bengals, Chiefs, 49ers, Eagles.
Yep.
Every single one of them are mostly out of the shotgun.
Also,
I guess the Niners are the most.
Niners are very much undersized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
also offensive coach, offensive coach, offensive coach, offensive coach.
Yep.
Also true.
Back-to-back years. It was the same last year because I remember
All
pointing
four.
it out.
Yep. And no, it doesn't mean that they have bad defenses. I mean, you obviously look in the NFC Championship game; those are 2 of the best defenses. The Bengals defense, it is good, and the Chiefs is fine. But it's not that when you hire an offensive guy, you're going to have a bad defense.
Right.
It doesn't guarantee that at all.
And obviously, you know, you love the Shanahan system, and if you can get it to work the way that he does, then who cares if you're under center or not? But almost everyone in the NFL I shouldn't say that. A lot of the NFL is getting away from that sort of stuff
Yeah.
and spreading it out and
That's
more
very
RPO
interesting.
and
Yep.
all
The
that.
pro style system
What
is
works best for the
not
Broncos?
much.
Should be called like the early 2000s.
All right.
What fits Russell Wilson though?
Yeah.
And that's the other side.
I'll just say I would be 0% excited over David Shaw as offensive coordinator. I would
That's
actually
fine.
be
I'd be-
more
exactly,
excited
I
by
agree.
him as a head coach than
I
as an
agree.
offensive coordinator.
I agree.
I think a lot of people would feel that way, Ryan.
Yep.
Zachary Gardner says Frank Reich hired by the Panthers.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yes, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting hire.
It's interesting to me that the Broncos didn't interview him. Makes me scared that he's going to be really good.
It's fair. It's very fair.
Last one was Doug Peterson. They're buddies.
Yeah.
And Brian Dable and Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Jacob says, is it possible Justin Alton could be brought back as offensive coordinator? He seemed to have found something with Russ when he was calling the plays and making the game plans. I think it's possible, but I don't think he's like going to be at the top of the next coach's list.
I bet he's looking at flights to New York as we speak.
Probably wise, right? Tight ends
Yes.
coach?
Or QB coach or something.
Yep.
I agree. You could do worse. I'd take him over Clint Kubiak though. I think I agree there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would.
Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding.
And it's not an easy sell, but it's an easier sell than people think because what you point to is look at the success he had with Russell Wilson, with this team when he was calling plays the last 2 games. They averaged 27.5 points in those 2 games.
It isn't just about play calling though. Like so much of it is about how the playbook is built and what the game plan is that week. And he was very much a part of it all season. And that's why I just don't even consider anybody on this staff probably.
I think if you're
That's
a great
fair.
play
Yeah.
caller, you could literally just rip a playbook from Madden and call the right plays at the right times.
And be
So somebody
dialing
who's
them
good
up.
at Madden. Yep, that's the take I expect. Yep.
I just mean like the whole point is calling the right play in the right situation.
Yeah.
That's all of it. Yeah.
You could just like watch if you're good at if you have a gift for calling the right play at the right time, you could just watch the season of Kyle Shanahan and just write down all the plays and then just call them.
Oh, man. Are you putting your resume out there for OC?
Saying, just give me the
There
tape.
you go. There you go.
I can chart them out.
Should we hop on to the website really quick? Get a few questions in?
Let's do it.
First one coming in from G-Ham G-Ham says, I'm starting to think we're getting Walmart-id. All of our coaches will be replaced by self-checkout. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. A great take from you here. Wow.
I learned yesterday, big day for me, went grocery shopping.
Whoa.
They now have self-checkout at Costco.
Wow. Didn't know
I
that.
gotta start going to Costco. Everybody says it's incredible.
It is great.
have you never
but then
been?
like
I've been when I was little.
Okay.
I couldn't appreciate a grocery store at the time.
then like I was like, oh, I want some Mexican cheese. And all you could get in Mexican cheese was literally 2 bags that were this big. And I was
And you
like,
have to get both. Yeah.
I was like, I would have to eat like 2 cups of Mexican cheese a day to eat all of this before it expires.
So you're telling
You
me
got
that it
freeze
wasn't
one.
enough?
You gotta freeze one.
So you didn't do it.
Oh yeah, I forgot you could freeze cheese.
You can freeze just about anything.
Very true.
That'd be a fun off-season topic. Can you freeze it
Can
or
you
not?
freeze it? It's a good
Because
TikTok.
I don't know where that line is.
Soda, you can't freeze soda. I've done it. It explodes.
You can't freeze liquor. Liquor is unfreezable.
Well, liquor's unfreezable, but soda is a worse thing to try to freeze.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
will
you have
explode
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can
Sticky.
freeze it though. You shouldn't, but you can.
Well,
the
then
question
you
is
can
if you can or
freeze
shouldn't.
anything.
Yeah,
Except
okay.
liquor.
That's how freezing works.
Antifreeze. Can't
Yeah.
freeze that.
And probably and only very
Like
cold
minus
temperatures.
500.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
That would do it.
I guess in that case, you could freeze anything if minus 500 is on the table.
Just need a good freezer.
Next one from Ozzy Dan says, "G'day boys, my team in the Australian Football League have sucked for almost 15 years.
No.
We stuffed up draft picks and fired coaches every other year. The Broncos of the last 7 years have been very much deja vu. Last year we hired a new coach and 12 months later we have a window that could last 5 or more years. Our coach is a master in play management and welfare. He commands respect, might not be the greatest with X's and O's, but realize this and hired assistants who are. The more podcasts I listen to and stories I read, the more I'm convinced that the Broncos have this opportunity. I never wanted a first-time head coach in this cycle, but I've gone a full 180. I want DeMeco Ryans. Everything about him, to me, oozes leadership, respect. I'm the old I'd run through a wall for him. Surround him with experienced coaches. We've heard some about if someone like Quinn wants to come, and I really like this as the move. This is my hope. Fingers crossed. So count Ozzy Dan in on DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah, I'd like DeMeco Ryans would be exciting. He would be exciting. I don't think he's really the type that a lot of people want, but you know, if you can't get Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton, those are like your all-pro free agent guys. It's like you go try and get him. If you can't get him, DeMeco Ryans is like the first-round draft pick. And
Right.
the first-round draft pick comes with a whole bunch of risk, obviously. It's 50-50. He's just a bust or whatever. And it'd be nice to just go get a proven veteran who you know can do the job, especially when you don't have to worry about actually paying him. That just it doesn't matter. But once you get down to the Dan Quinns, the David Shaws, like, why not go after DeMeco Ryans? Why not?
I mean, at this point, I'm in.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. At this point, yeah.
And it's nothing against DeMeco, like
No.
I pointed out. It's just wasn't what we were exactly looking for.
If it had been Dan Quinn who they hired and failed last year, then I'd have been saying DeMeco Ryans is the guy all year.
Right.
Yeah.
The Count says yesterday's pod was an absolute classic. Felt old school BSN and vibes,
Yes.
like the Mousetrap press box days. Bravo, gents and Allie. I listened to it twice. And please bring back the Hank v. Numby Saquon debate. Epic stuff.
Oh.
Love the Count.
Once
we'll
we get
have
to
to
this
get like
offseason.
a bell once the offseason actually starts and just ring it.
No.
Oh, you have a ding ding ding?
Oh, literally a triangle we're
Yeah,
going to
it's
bring
awesome.
in. Love you, the Count. Thank you
Also,
for that.
real quick, the whole big thing on signing a running back this offseason, that's going to
Here
drop
we go.
this afternoon.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
there
dropping
we
this
go, there we
afternoon.
go.
So go read it.
There you
Hank
go.
can't wait.
Arvada Luke, belated happy birthday, Hank. The less famous Hank I referred to was Hank Hill, the incomparable animated Mike Judge comedy of King of the Hill.
I might need to watch that.
The stakes are so high. With a great hire, Colorado could be the premier football state west of the Mississippi. Beyond that, with the Avs and Nuggets, we could become the premier major sports state in the country and therefore the world. We saw the difference with the CEO type with Rosberg. How much of an upgrade could we possibly see in the CEO-ness with the other candidates? At what point are the returns diminishing? Where do we just need X's and O's? Or do we just need an X's and O's genius?
Rosberg was so nice just because he was this pure football guy. Like, all of his feelings were just straight up football takes. It's like complimentary football. We need to be big and strong in the trenches and go from that. Like, you don't miss that. Like, he always said, like, we play football the way that I think that football should be played, which is just the old school, like, Ravens, mean, physical, gritty, tough.
Punch him in the mouth.
Exactly. And that is what football's about. And that was a nice twist after having Nathaniel Hackett, who is as far as you can be in the other direction as a head coach.
He's like, you guys want to play Quizlet?
Yeah, let's we're no pads this week. We're playing a lot of Quizlet.
Here's the good and bad thing about hiring a head coach is there's head coaches that are just the CEO types and have a lot of success. There's X's and O's coaches that have that succeed and have a lot of success. It's just about finding the right person. So it's good because anyone could work, but it's bad because there's not a specific mold that you go after. Look at Mike McDaniel. So many people thought, oh my gosh, this guy is only X's and O's. Yeah, he's not going to work at all. And he works. And then you have CEO types that succeed as well. So and just like Ryan said earlier, I wouldn't want to put myself in a hole saying we're only going after CEO types or we're only going after X's and O's types.
For sure. Dweener says, fellas, catching up on the pods. Thanks so much for the shout out the other day. Enjoy the mac and cheese. You've earned it.
Thank you.
Regarding the coaching search, I'm with Ozzy Dan. I'm all in on DeMeco Ryans. In the long term, he's going to be the best coach to come out of this cycle, and I sure hope we are the beneficiaries. Go Broncos, go DNVR, and happy belated birthday, Henry.
There we go. And the last one to round us out from Nash Broncos says, hi, guys. A few weeks ago, I said I was completely out on first-time head coaches. You guys have me convinced. You've convinced me otherwise. I still think having experience somewhere on the staff is essential. Also, yesterday's pod is evidence of my last comment. We're already in off-season mode, and the conference championship games haven't been played yet. And with regards to Hackett being hired by the Jets today, I really don't understand the evaluation process of coaches. Hackett, loved him as a person, was objectively horrible in Denver, so how does he have a job, even if it's a demotion? I think you look at where Nathaniel Hackett really messed up last year, and it was as a head coach, and it started right away. He didn't hire any experience around him. He made some questionable, especially hindsight questionable choices with training camp not being hard, being really easy on the guys, and then on the offensive side, you can point to a lot of things where Russell Wilson, especially early in the season, missed a lot of wide open guys. So you could find positives from the offense, but it was really, he let himself down initially and where it really started to snowball as a head coach.
I think that NFL coaches only want to hire people that they've run into at the bars in Mobile, Alabama or Indianapolis, which actually puts us up pretty high on the list.
Yeah, it does. Wow. It does. Wow, you're right. You're really making your case.
But I'm being totally serious.
Yeah.
Like, they only hire from inside the fraternity, and that's how you get jobs over and over again, even if you suck.
And the other thing is, regardless of how bad it went, Nathaniel Hackett probably got a lot better as a coach this year. You learn a lot of things just from spending that much time as a coach. At the very least, he likely did not get worse as an offensive coordinator. So you can go back through and say he wasn't all that great before. When he was good, it was whoever's fault. But I think he is still a young coach who you expect to keep getting better.
I think he actually did get worse as an offensive coordinator for the Broncos because he got scared of embarrassing himself. But with a clean slate, hopefully he can get back to his creative ways.
Experience always helps.
Yep.
Well, this is an experience, but Cody, shout out to Cody for helping us with the likes and thumbs up. He also brings up Wes Welker's name. Oh, boy. I know he doesn't have experience, but sign me up, baby.
He's close. I mean, he's within a couple years of being an OC.
Yeah, I mean, he could be an OC right. Whoa, what was that comment?
Oh.
By accident.
Oh,
he's trying to hit the one above it that said RK for OC.
Anybody that's not over 5 feet tall can be an offensive coordinator.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Coaches are sneaky kind of short, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad news for every
ones.
newsbreaker in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are podcasters. Typically short. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That is gonna wrap it up.
Couple more super chats.
Oh, yeah, we got one more actually.
Oh, look at Henry being on top of things.
It's because I was wrong.
Just to add to the David Shaw OC case, as a HC plus OC, he has 4 Heisman runner-ups: Toby Gerhart, Andrew Luck, CMC, and Bryce Love. Wow, what a Bryce Love, just a flash across the sky.
Yep.
Not a sure thing, but doesn't hurt. Andrew Luck was a gift. Running backs don't move me.
I mean, Andrew Luck was not brought in by him, and coached up by Harbaugh a lot. So yeah,
a gift.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
And running backs don't count. Wow. Even the Pac-12 running
I'm not
back,
saying they don't count. I'm just saying, like,
weren't those his words?
They did. They were.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting a running back to a Heisman candidate in college doesn't make me excited about you as an OC in the NFL.
I mean, that's fair. Yes.
If that was the only thing on his resume, then that'd be an issue. But there's just so much. He checks so many boxes. Though, head coach much better as an offensive coordinator.
What's wild about David Shaw is how polarizing he is and would be if he's brought in here in some role.
Mm-hmm. It's because there's so many CU fans. Like everybody.
I don't think there's that many.
Well, I mean, but
not that many CU
that
fans
overlap with Broncos fans.
I feel like there's been a lot of CU fans that I've heard from, but I think that's where the take kind of bubbles up from because CU fans think David Shaw's horrible. Like the whole time I was up at CU, it's like, oh, that guy sucks. I don't know why he's still there. And again, that was when he was kind of falling off. But I don't I don't put much stock. It's a lot like when like sometimes people will be like, oh yeah, I watch his college team. This guy, yeah, you like him as a draft prospect. He's not going to be all that good though. I don't think he fits. Like sometimes those takes you just have to throw out. Like you can be too close.
I think that David Shaw is a very good football coach. I just don't want him as my offensive coordinator in the NFL in 2023.
It's fair.
That's why he's coming 2024.
Oh boy.
Or 2024.
After their offensive coordinator becomes a head coach somewhere, that you would take.
What if?
Because that mean they'd be so successful this year.
Right.
What if that Broncos ownership power struggle was that they wanted David Shaw as Sean Payton's offensive coordinator?
Huh. That would be interesting.
Ooh, they wanted to force something on Sean Payton.
They wanted David Shaw to be the
that
OC.
would not do well with Sean Payton.
Which is weird, though, because Sean Payton's a big David Shaw guy. Like, he's repeatedly said, like, the NFL needs to blow the money, go get him. Like, it comes from, like, it's still West Coast background. Terminology would be similar.
Do you think this Mark Maskey tweet to tie this pod in a poll? What?
He said Maskey.
We've been saying Maskey. You said Maskey. I have no idea. Do you know for sure?
No, I don't know for sure at all. But to tie this pod in a bow, do you think this is what Big Dunk was referring to in his tweet?
Could be.
The power struggle?
Could be. I think
we figured it out.
I think there's a lot of stuff floating around right now.
Yep.
A lot of stuff.
Well, we know who both Mark, we assume we know who Mark, and we really well know who Jeff Duncan's tied to.
Yep.
And both of those coming from the same person, potentially.
Yep.
Potentially. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Great pod. Appreciate you guys rolling with us. Appreciate the 155 likes.
Let's go, baby.
Let's keep it rolling there. And we'll see you tomorrow at the Breck Brew Farmhouse.